Okay, guys. Guys, before we begin, I want to gently acknowledge that today's topic, that is bullying, can bring up strong emotion, memories, or even physical reaction. And some of these experiences might be recent, and others may be from many years ago. Please remember that you're always in control of your participation. You're free to step away, mute yourself, or take a break if you feel overwhelmed. And now let's begin with the workshop. So before we begin, me and my teammate, we would like to introduce ourselves. Nikita, next slide, please. So about us, hi, my name is Kayuri. I am a junior psychologist at MindTribe. I had over 2 years of experience working with um, young adults and adults with anxiety, behavioral problems, and I have a master's degree in mental health and psychological therapies. I am genuinely glad that you guys are here today, and I appreciate you taking the time to join this workshop. And now my team member will introduce herself. Nikita, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Nikita. I am a junior psychologist at MindTribe, and I'll be co-hosting this session. Brief introduction about me: I'm a postgrad in mental health and have a couple of years' experience in this field. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Nikita, for introducing yourself. So, next slide, please. We're gonna, before we actually begin, just few reminders and disclaimer. So, recording, transcribing, or capturing any part of this group workshop or therapy session is strictly prohibited. This includes the use of transcription tools, screen recording, or screenshots, or any form of documentation is prohibited. The content shared in this session is the intellectual property of MindTribe. Unauthorized recording, reproduction, or distribution is not allowed. Please note that violation of this policy may result in removal from the sessions to protect the confidentiality of the group. Now, since we have discussed the disclaimer, let us discuss the let us like discuss the ground rules. So, just few reminders. Look at the next slide, please. So, just few workshop reminders to create a safe space and respectful space for everyone. Please mute your microphone unless asked a question and turn off your cameras. Use the raise hand button if you have any questions, and questions sent via chat box will be answered after each workshop segment. This is a confidential and supportive space. So, just before we start with today's topic, let's take a gentle moment to check in ourselves. So let's take a slow deep breath in and out. So let's begin. Um, Now, before we start, I would want you guys, next slide, please. I would want to start with a reflective question. There's no need to answer out loud unless you want to. You can drop the answers in the chat box as well. Have you ever felt isolated in a workplace, at school, in a group, or even within your family? Or were you ever name called something that stayed with you longer than it should have? If you guys want to answer, you guys can answer that as well. Okay. Thank you for answering. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So As I saw a lot of answers in the chat box and a lot of reactions, um, we have to understand this that for many people, bullying isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it hides behind the joke, sarcasm, or casual teasing, or even phrases like, I was just kidding, or don't be so sensitive. So today we are gently going to unpack what bullying really is, how it affects us psychologically, and most importantly, how we can begin coping, healing, or rebuilding a sense of safety and self worth. Nikita, next slide, please. So, what is bullying? Bullying implies to an intention to harm, intimidate, or coerce an act when there is an imbalance of power and the act is cause of distress and provocation. So, guys, whenever we talk about bullying, we need to understand that this is not same as conflict. A conflict occurs when there are two people disagreeing and have a similar power or status quo. For example, two friends are arguing about something and then they are resolving it. So, bullying is completely different. Bullying is not one time disagreement, argument, or misunderstanding. It has three key elements that it is repetitive. Basically, it happens again and again. Then there's an intent to harm or control. The goal is to hurt, embarrass, or dominate someone. And there's a power imbalance. And someone wants to exert or coerce. Yeah, yes, Kanvi, you're right. So one person is overpowering the other person. So based on this, we are going to talk about different types of bullying. Next slide, please. So there are four main types of bullying. There is physical bullying, verbal bullying, social bullying, and cyberbullying. So physical, as the word suggests, physical bullying is a use of physical actions to intimidate and gain control over a target. So what happens is here the person is constantly being physically attacked. They might be hit, they might be pushed, or they might tripped on purpose, and it happens repetitively. Example could be a student is pushed in the hallway every day and told to move, or someone keeps kicking another person's chair in the class. A bag or phone is taken or thrown as a joke, but it keeps happening. Or a group of people block or someone from leaving a space and laugh about it. Even small actions, when repeated, can have big psychological impact. It can create fear, anxiety, and a sense of not being safe. Now, the second form of bullying is verbal bullying. So, verbal bullying refers to mainly use of verbal or something wherein someone insults or taunts or even name calls someone, which is which is one of the kinds of abuse, like verbal abuse. So this could be to humiliate someone or teasing someone's intelligence. Example could be calling someone stupid, ugly, or weird repetitively, making jokes about someone's weight, height, voice, or even clothes, or mimicking someone's accent or speech to get laugh, saying constantly that you're so dumb whenever someone answers a question. And we need to remember that words can leave deeper scars than we realize, especially when they are repeated in public. Um, so being left out in is not a verbal form of bullying; it is a social form of bullying, which we're going to talk about right now. Um, so social kind of bullying is basically here a person is um, usually left out of the group. So, social bullying is the use of various means to damage or destroy someone's social relationship. This is often subtle and overlooked. Example would be a person is left out of group chats or plans on purpose. People stop talking to them when someone walks over. Rumors are spread to damage someone's reputation. Friends are pressured to choose sides and stop talking to one person. And someone's messages are ignored while everyone else is responded to. This type of bullying usually attacks a person's of sense of belonging, which is a basic human need, right? Nikita, next slide, please. So, the fourth form of bullying is cyberbullying. So, cyberbullying refers to using digital devices such as phones, computers, tablets to repeatedly harass, threaten, embarrass, or target someone, which includes liking mean posts or creating mean posts or rumors and creating fake accounts or sharing private information online, often causing a significant distress and leaving a digital footprint. So basically, this includes abusive messages, repeated DMs, edited photos, screenshots that are shared without consent, or humiliating posts online. Example would be repeated messages telling someone to go away or no one likes you. A private message or photo shared publicly without permission. Fake accounts made to mock or impersonate someone. Group chats where one person is targeted, joked about, or even excluded. So, based on these, we can understand that this is happening constantly. Um, Mental harassment is actually a form of bullying, yes, but it happens when constantly someone is like pushed or someone is commented on. That leads to a psychological impact. So, based on these types, we can understand that there are two types of bullying that can happen, and one situation can have several forms. So, there will be a direct and indirect form of bullying. Nikita, next slide, please. So, as the word direct suggests, this includes harassment, physical abuse, pranks, or threats. So, this bullying usually happens face to face and is easier seen or heard. Examples would be hitting, pushing, or tripping someone, or constantly calling someone's name to their face, threatening or intimidating someone openly, yelling insults in front of others, and direct bullying is often recognized quickly because it is visible. Now we have indirect form of bullying. So indirect form is cyberbullying, spreading rumors, or sharing someone's private information. This type of bullying is less obvious but is equally harmful. It is basically spreading rumors behind someone's back, excluding someone on purpose, which is social bullying, turning friends against one person, or posting or sharing things online without tagging the person. And we need to understand that indirect bullying can be harder to prove, but the emotional impact is very real. And guys, we need to remember that if it hurts someone and keeps on happening, it is bullying, whether you see it or not. And as I mentioned earlier as well, that one situation can involve several type of bullying. Now, as we have understood different types of bullying, let's understand who are involved in bullying. Nikita, next slide, please. So, usually, there are two people involved, a bully and bully victims. So, who is a bully? A bully is a person who harasses, abuses, intimidates, or coerces people, especially those with less power than they have. So, Bully is the person or a group of people who are carrying out bullying. They may use physical actions, words, social pressure, or technology to hurt, control, or to embarrass someone. They may be seeking power, attention, or acceptance. Now we have bully victims. Bully victims are individuals who have not only been targeted by bullies but might have bullied others. So the person who is being bullied, they are constantly being targeted. They may feel isolated, anxious, embarrassed, or afraid to speak up. And we need to understand that nobody deserves to be treated this way. Now, sometimes they can also bully someone. They're also called as bully victims. They may be targeted in one setting, for example, at school or online, and then they bully others in different situations. This happens usually because they're coping with the hurt, stress, or lack of control. This does not excuse the behavior and it does not mean that they deserve to be bullied. It means that they often require support and guidance, not just punishment. So, since we have understood different types of bullying, let's have a quick thinking activity. Nikita, next slide, please. Sorry, just a second. Yeah, so this is just a question. These are three questions that are there. So, what type of bullying includes mobile, computers? Yes. Yes, Faisal, you're right. That's of me. Yes, Kritika. Exactly cyberbullying because it includes mobiles and computers and it happens online. Now, the second question. Oh, okay. Yes, 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 you guys are right. So, anybody else who wants to answer? Okay, let me just ask you another question. So, Stanley is having fun with his friends, but at times he's been name called by every person and he feels like a scapegoat in his group. Is this bullying or is this their way to have fun? Yes, you guys are absolutely correct. Um, yes, it is bullying. We need to remember that if something that is shared as a joke but causes distress, fear, or humiliation, it still matters. A joke stops being joke when someone is hurt. And since he has been repetitively being, constantly mocked at, he feels hurt and he feels scapegoat in his own group. Now, we need to understand that impact always matters more than intention. And yeah, Nikita, next slide, please.
Hi, could you repeat that last line you said?
Oh, so I said that impact always matters more than the intention. So, as we have discussed about different genres, or sorry, different types of bullying, we're going to talk about different genres or different elements of bullying. So, bullying not only happens at school, it can happen at different walks of life as well, often becoming more subtle and hard to name as we get older. So, there are four types of bullying, or the four various kinds of bullying that happens in our regular basis. First is peer bullying, then second is parent bullying, third is sibling bullying, workplace bullying, and most common, that is cyberbullying. So the first is peer bullying. Look at the next slide. Okay, sorry, I think yeah. So before this one, sorry. So peer bullying happens between people of similar age, status, or often involves exclusion, ridicule, or social control rather than any physical harm. Example would be being repetitively left out of the group activities and told that you're imagining it, or jokes made about you that continue even after you've asked them to stop. The second type of bullying is parent or caregiver bullying. This occurs when a parent or caregiver uses their authority to shame, intimidate, or emotionally control rather than support or guide. Example would be they are compared negatively to the siblings or others to motivate you in a way, or threats of withdrawal of love, attention, or financial support if you fail to comply. Now, the third type of bullying is sibling bullying. Sibling bullying is repeated aggression within the family that causes a fear of distress and is often dismissed as normal sibling rivalry. So, a sibling is consistently belittling someone or intimidates while others minimize it, and your belongings or privacy or even reputation are repetitively violated. If you have noticed that this is happening for the longest time, this constantly repeats. Um, Fourth type of bullying is workplace bullying. Workplace bullying involves ongoing behavior that undermines a person's dignity, confidence, or a sense of safety at work. Examples would be being publicly criticized or micromanaged in a way that others are not. You can see there's a discrimination that is kind of happening as well. Having your work unfairly blamed, ignored, or taken credit for. Now, online and cyberbullying, as we have discussed, cyberbullying is use of digital platforms to harass, shame, or control, often making the harm feel inescapable. Example, receiving just repeated hostile messages or comments, being targeted in group chats, or having private information shared. Now, after talking about the different genres of bullying, I want to pause here and talk about something that is very important, which is the act of behavior. That is the next slide. So, whenever we hear the word acting out, people often confuse that it means being difficult, aggressive, or disruptive. But in psychology, acting out is not about being bad, it is about unexpressed pain coming out through the behavior. So, when someone has been bullied repetitively and feels powerless, unheard, or unsafe, the emotions don't disappear. They look for another way to come out. Act of behavior is often a survival response. For some people, um, as the next slide will suggest, it is sudden anger or irritability, lashing out, breaking rules, becoming aggressive or defiant, or substance abuse like alcohol. Here, what one does is victims often turns to drugs or alcohol to self-medicate the intense fear, anxiety, depression, isolation, and low self-esteem that is caused by the trauma. It is kind of risk-taking behaviors as well. If you see, if you're involved in alcohol, it helps someone to might like numb their pain. And next would be, look at the next slide, please. Avoidance. So what a person might do is they might seriously start avoiding going to social settings due to fear, anxiety, or low self-esteem. Next slide, please. Now, bullying. As we have discussed, that it is basically to to show power or to show control, and it is a way to suppress their emotions, and that is why they try to regain a sense of power in themselves or in their lives by bullying other people. It means that they just want to show that they want to feel that they have the power as well. Look at the next slide. Okay, so before we move on to the case study, I would want to emphasize on one thing, that this does not mean that they want to hurt other people. It often means that they don't feel safe in a way to express their emotions and what they are carrying out inside. In many cases, people who act out have learned that being calm didn't protect them, speaking up didn't help them, so the behavior becomes a form of language. And acting out does not excuse any harmful behavior, but it helps us to understand and psychoeducate ourselves. When we only punish the behavior and ignore the pain underneath the cycle, it continues. And we need to understand that if you notice someone acting out, especially after bullying, a more helpful question is, what's wrong with them? Um, but we should probably ask, what happened to them? So let me share a case study with you. So before we move on to the case study, I hope each and every slide is clear. And if you want me to go over again, I can go over again as well. Thank you. Okay. So let's discuss the case study. Ria is a 13-year-old. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Ria is a 13-year-old student. She was quiet and she enjoyed drawing during school breaks. A group of classmates began teasing her for being silent and different. The teasing escalated into repetitive bullying, mocking her drawings or hiding her belongings and whispering about her. Ria stopped bringing her sketchbook and began isolating herself in the class. She showed signs of emotional distress, sadness, and anxiety, and low confidence. Her concentration and academic performance also declined. She frequently complained of stomach aches to avoid school. What difference can you see in her behavior, guys? Yes, yes, Frida?
One thing that struck me was she stopped doing the thing that she absolutely loved.
Yeah, that's correct. So she used to like drawing during her breaks. She started avoiding bringing her sketchbooks due to incessant bullying. Yes, you're right. Avoidance is also, yes, you're right, that is verbal and peer type of bullying. There's emotional distress and physical pain as well. Um, yes, Mayank, go ahead.
I feel that whenever, like with this case of bullying, most of it, what happens is that in this case, the person started feeling that they are not good enough. So that infusion of not being good enough actually shook their confidence, and that is something which most of the cases, be it any form of bullying, does to you. They just breaks your self confidence, and they then you just feel that whatever you are, you're not good enough. So I think that is the very important point.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. It also affects someone's self-confidence. It makes someone feel low about themselves. And there's a lack of safety, as we had discussed earlier as well. Isolation and loneliness is also the consequence of bullying because she stopped talking to other people. She stopped answering. That affected her academics as well, and it escalated. So, as you guys have correctly focused on, and you can see that it created anxiety. Yes, exactly. You're right. That's a consequence of bullying. And she lost her safe space, like that was drawing, as you guys have mentioned earlier as well. And there was an internalized shame too. That is something is wrong with me, or I'm at fault. And then she started avoiding everybody in the form of self protection. Yes, there's a sense of insecure feeling as well. Now, the fear became quite normal as well. Um, Next slide, please. So, usually, whenever we talk about bullying, it is not easier when someone gets bullied. There could be different reasons why bullying are or bullying is not reported. So there is failure to recognize that someone is getting bullied. So what happens here is someone is not able to recognize that they are being bullied. They think that it is just a joke, or maybe if they react, they might be overreacting to a comment that might be affecting them. So what they do is they kind of not are not able to realize that they are being bullied, and then there will be a shame and embarrassment. So half of the time, they are constantly told to just toughen it up or ignore or just joke back to retaliate. And then past experiences would be where they might have felt worse about getting bullied, or whenever they tried reporting it, they were dismissed. Uh, yes, Maya?
I'm so sorry to disturb your flow, but I just wanted to add something about this slide that why bullying is not reported. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but just let
No
me know
worries, no
if I can
worries.
speak.
No worries, no
Yeah,
worries.
so I just wanted from some experiences wanted to say that why bullying is not reported is also due to a fact that most of the times the bullies and the one who are bullying portray themselves as to be someone who is very powerful, as someone who has a lot of power, and the one who is being bullied is often isolated, as you mentioned. But besides this, there is also a category of people who are just watching there and sitting there, and they observe, and deep inside they know that what is right and what is wrong. But the thing is, they are very spineless, to be honest, and they just don't want to point it out, and they want to remain quiet and let it happen, because this and then that is when the person who's being bullied feel more isolated, because there is no one to support them, and the one who is bullying feel empowered that okay, everybody is watching and they are enjoying, maybe they are quiet, so I can do it and go do it more. So the category of not being reported is also I feel due to people who remain choose to remain conveniently silent so that their image is protected, or if they say something, tomorrow the bully will go after them. So to protect them, they, even knowing that it is wrong, they let it happen. I just wanted to say it, so I interrupted. Sorry for that.
No worries. You're absolutely correct. That is kind of a bystander bullying. So what happens is people deliberately ignore. And as you mentioned, that they have this fear to not get bullied by the group. So what they do is they just turn their backs, or they start participating in bullying by laughing at the jokes that the bully is trying to exert, or trying to pass or mock the victim. And another thing is power imbalance, as you mentioned as well. That what happens is that there is like they're protected, then the desire for being accepted. So what happens is that the bully victims want to have a sense of belonging, and they have this fear of not, like, they don't want to get isolated by the other people, so, or the group of bullies, because they think that the bully has a power and has respect. So what they do is they just stay quiet. And another thing is that they fear that they might be snitching, or they might be cheating their friends by telling or reporting about bullying. So I need to remind you that for victims, silence wasn't just a way of passivity, it was a strategy, guys. A strategy to stay safe, to avoid escalation, and to protect what little control they had. And when someone doesn't speak up, it doesn't mean that they didn't try. It often means that they learned that speaking up wasn't safe. So, if unfortunately this resonates with you, please hear it out correctly. That silence was not your weakness, it wasn't a consent, but it was your way of surviving. Now, Nikita, can we move on to the next slide, please? So, before we proceed with the workshop, there's a quick ad break. So, just like on YouTube, it's if it's free, there's an ad. Grab some popcorn and enjoy this part of the presentation on the benefits of one-on-one counseling with MindTribe. Next slide, please. So let's begin with what is one-on-one counseling. So one-on-one counseling is a personalized confidential session between a client and a trained therapist. And this focuses on personal growth. So to gain insights into your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And it focuses on problem solving. So it addresses specific issues such as anxiety, stress, or relationship problems. And the main idea of this counseling would be to work towards personal and professional goals with support of a counselor. Um, Next slide, please. So before we begin to talk about counseling at MindTribe, let's talk about some misconceptions. Some people think that counseling is only for those who are sick. That's not true. Counseling is for anyone who wants to be the best version of themselves. So they want to build better relationship, have more friends, have academic success, or even career advancement. Next slide, please. So why you guys should choose MindTribe? We have highly talented counselors, and they are quite equipped and experienced. Then the first session at MindTribe is at a minimal cost of 449 rupees. We also have affordable charges, which ranges from 1,000 rupees to 5,000. That depends on the seniority of the counselor. We have affordable packages. Once if you're comfortable with one counselor or therapist, you can invest in a budget-friendly counseling packages as well. Next slide, please. Now, guys, if you have any urgent question, you can ask about us before we resume this workshop, or even you can drop that message in the group that we have. So, if you guys have any questions, you guys can ask us right now. We can just answer it for you. Should we proceed? Okay. So, guys, trigger warning. This is another case study that we're going to discuss. And let's um, begin. I hope you guys are okay till now. So, this is going to be a story of a victim. Next slide, please. So, we're going to talk about Arjun. So, Arjun is a quiet 10th grade student. He gradually withdrew from his friends because of repetitive name calling about his weight. He initially laughed it off. Then bullying escalated over time. His belongings were hidden. He faced public humiliation in class. His pictures were being edited and were shared in the WhatsApp group. He stopped participating in the class. His academic performance dropped. He avoided school, and then, especially when he had PE lessons, he had disrupted sleep pattern and constantly complained about stomach ache. He felt invisible at home and targeted at school. Since we have discussed about different types of bullying, can you tell me what is the psychological impact or how it impacted Arjun in this case? Guys can drop your answers in the chat box or raise your hand if you want to add on something what was discussed. Yes, Mayan, go ahead.
I just wanted to, from this, case presentation, just wanted to add one point. Like when you talk about bullying, why is it, be it any form, any time, at any age group, always comes from people who pretend or call themselves as your friend, but you don't feel them to be your friends, but yet they put it across as they are your friends and they are joking about it, as you mentioned. But every joke doesn't sound that funny to you because you don't consider them that important or that close, and then they start pushing their limits, and knowing that you are not comfortable, they put it across, like in this case. So that friendship thing, where I can see from this case study also, that for Arjun, it's basically people who call themselves as friends, and then they start pushing their lines. So that is one point which I just felt that could be a highlight from this case study, and that will of course help affect the mental health. But not every person who calls themselves a friend is a friend, actually. So yeah.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct because I mean, you don't expect your friends to bully you. You think that sometimes it's like, as we have discussed earlier as well, this happened constantly, repetitively. If you notice, like, um, what happens is like initially when someone brushes it off, it is unfortunate, but it is true that it gives the pass to another person to repeat the joke and they might think that it is funny. They think that other people are laughing, or if the person is laughing, it is funny. That is not true, as we have noticed as well while going through these, the slides. So, as we can, anybody else want to talk about what psychological impact? Yes, please. Yes, Sri Lakshmi.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ma'am, is my voice breaking?
No.
Ma'am, I had this experience at college, ma'am. I didn't knew about this kind of bullying, but people were like the thing we tell personally, personal chats, not too deep, but still we won't be okay with putting it in public, our groups, right, in WhatsApp group, etc. And these guys were actually throwing my chats in the in the public, like in the college class group, etc. So I was thinking, I the person I trusted the most actually, so those people actually did that. They were finding everything. Maybe it was just funny on those times for them. Like it was like childish maybe on my part to open up about some things. But they were actually bullying me, and I didn't know about this because I was not in that group by that time. But some other friends actually told me, and I could sense this in their behavior. So yes, what that person mentioned is correct. It happens from those close with us. They act as though they are like friends, but they actually try to bully in us in different ways.
Yeah, I can understand that's upset as well. It can be, quite depressing to hear that. But you shouldn't internalize the shame as well because that was not your fault. You were opening to your friends about something that you felt
No,
was you.
yes, ma'am. Not nothing bad or flirting, nothing like that or sexting or something like that. But still, people when you openly express emotion innocently, that too maybe I was too innocent when I entered the college. I was still then studious, only study that type of girl. So when we open up about some crush or some simple things, they feel it's something like joke because they were maybe they matured earlier and they have had all this experience. But later they are like shaming us and we feel very bad. Later when we know that we feel like our screenshots etc are shared in the group. So we are like, oh, like how people can do this.
Yeah, I can understand.
Thank you.
Yes, Rita.
Yeah, I would like to answer the question you have put for us. What I can see is withdrawal from friends, stopping speaking up in class, drop in academic performance, uh, then disturbed sleep, stomach pain before school, and feeling invisible at home, and not going for PE class, avoiding PE class. These are the impacts that I can see in Arjun's performance.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And this also like escalated in a way that he started avoiding schools at at every point of time. And whenever we can see from a victim's perspective as well, from Arjun's perspective, and based on a lot of people's experiences, that people start believing the bully's voice as it becomes their own. But we need to ask this question often, like you guys, I'm not talking like you guys in general, but about Arjun as well, that he might be asking this question, and you might also have this question, like, why couldn't he share this with someone? The answer isn't as simple as it seems. It is just about the risk. They don't want to risk themselves. And what happens is that the victim might start calculating. They might think that what will cost me. And obviously, the emotional trauma that is there can kind of have an impact as well. And they kind of fear being labeled a snitch, as we have talked about earlier as well. Or they don't want to be called a troublemaker. And they have this fear of retaliation. So they don't want to be isolated, so they tell themselves to not share those experiences. And they desperately want to belong or not stand out. But um, it is very important to understand that, as we had discussed earlier as well, it is just a strategy to stay safe and to avoid escalation, to protect oneself. And I would again want to emphasize on that silence was not anyone's weakness. It wasn't a way of consenting, and it was just your way to survive. So, based on this and based on understanding the psychological impact, let's understand how it can actually tamper someone's self or what impact usually bullying can have. Next slide, please. Like we discussed about this as well, this what happened. Yes, Amrika, that can happen as well. Next slide, please. Now, as we have talked about that, and you guys have also mentioned in the chat box about the impacts of bullying. So one can have poor academic performance. What happens is when someone gets bullied, they Their brain is often in survival mode, so they lack concentration and they feel that they just want to stay safe. And then, because of lack of concentration, they're not able to focus on learning. This can lead to memory problem. They stop attending classes. Their academic performance drops. And we need to remember that it is not about lack of ability, it's just about constant stress. Um, Next slide, please. So, as we have talked about that poor academic performance here, those ones who are repetitively being bullied, they receive poorer grades and participate less in the class discussion. They might be mislabeled as low achievers because they don't want to have and they don't want to speak up in the class because of the fear of being bullied. As we have discussed about is that it's not about that, it's just they want to stay safe. They don't want to get ridiculed. So they take a step back. And it impacts someone's low self-esteem. As I think Mayank and other people have also mentioned in the chat box and have spoken about when someone is belittled over something that they can't possibly change. It could be someone's height, skin color, or physical attribute. It becomes even more damaging to one's self-esteem. Repeated bullying slowly chips away how someone sees themselves. When a person hears negative messages again and again, they may start believing it. They begin doubting themselves, their self worth, abilities, and their identity. This is one of the most damaging long term effects of bullying. Then, next slide, please. As someone had mentioned, I think it was Amika, that it can lead to suicidal ideation. And before suicidal ideation, I would want to talk about the impacts that is depression and anxiety. So, depression due to bullying can cause a wide range of symptoms. In extreme circumstances, it can include, um, if it happens for long term, it can lead to suicide as well. And anxiety, the pain and distress for the victim who are experiencing anxiety due to bullying constantly can have adverse effects on their social life and in their life in general, where one person can feel lonely, isolated, vulnerable, and anxious. What's more, that these consequences linger on, and after bully has moved on to another target. So basically, you can even impact them. They might still be on the edge, um, and they're constantly tensed or alert. And those who might have depressive episodes or depressive symptoms, they might feel numb, sad, or they have lack of motivation, and they might feel empty. They are These are just responses of prolonged bullying. Next slide, please. Now, suicidal ideation. Um, your discretion is advised. If you guys are feeling these sort of emotions, please reach out to professional as soon as possible. Here, what happens is, um, when the child is being bullied, it becomes overwhelming for them to survive in such torturous situations. Depression, feelings of loneliness and sadness, or loss of interest and low self-esteem can overcome these emotions of they blame themselves for every bad thing that happens around them, and they think that life is not worth living. Please remember that these are just the signs of distress, not your weakness. And it is important that you eminently reach out to professional if any one of you are feeling these emotions. Next slide, please. Now, loneliness. Another impact of bullying is loneliness. Bullying often leads to isolation. People may withdraw to protect themselves. They might feel unseen, misunderstood, or disconnected, even when they're surrounded by other people. Loneliness can be as painful as the bullying itself. Here, children who report bullying can show often dislike, or they don't want to be friends, or what happens is that they start withdrawing themselves and are reluctant to join social groups, and that leads to loneliness. Next slide, please. Now, some people become socially shy. So, passive victims tend to be shy, less socially experienced than other children. They may have strong desire to fit in, but have difficulty making friends and entering social groups. What happens is, after incessant negative social experiences, people may become socially withdrawn. They might have fear of judgment, criticism, or humiliation. This isn't personality, it is just a protective response to past harm. Now, um, next slide is basically some people who are bullied, they have relationship issues. So, as a lot of people had mentioned earlier as well, lots of people have trust issues. They constantly depend on their relationship or their partners. They have insecure form of attachment and they get into people pleasing behavior. So it can affect one's way to relate to another people in other walks of life as well. So they may struggle with trust, boundaries, or fear of rejection. Some people become people pleasers, while others keep emotional distance to protect themselves. Yes, as I said that some people are emotionally avoidant as well. So what they do is they don't want to talk to other people because they just want to protect themselves of not getting bullied as in. Um, as we can notice that, uh, oh, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask one thing. May I just, sorry again to interrupt, but may I just ask this right here on the slide? I had a question.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I I wanted to ask one thing. Bullying at a place is one thing. Okay, understood. But when you talk about relationship, so in a relationship, the problem comes in when you feel bullied, and you might have heard, or people here, everybody might have heard across that people today say that, oh, I don't care, I am so strong. So idea of being emotionally strong is always associated with someone who doesn't react when things are said to them. When mean things or cheap stuff or some vulgar comments are made on them just to affect, then these bullies have the power or control to disrupt your mental health. And when then that happens, it is said that you need to be emotionally strong or by not reacting to them, because it is the your reaction that feeds on you. So now when you start harboring this thought of not reacting, you become a person who doesn't react to anything being said, and that is when you become emotionally detached, as you said. And when that emotional detachment comes in, then you don't have anything left to offer in any relationship, because relationships are emotions only. And you have become emotionally so strong, which actually doesn't mean strong, it means you are dumb or insulated, that you don't react to what your even people around you are saying. And then you become emotionally unavailable to people, and that ruins your life. So you ruins your other relations as well. So my thing is that I want to know, if you talk about relationship issues because of bullying, but it is not, but it is because the person who's being bullied was at one point of time very emotional, and he was made to feel that it is wrong to be so emotional and react to everything, because then only people would take advantage of you. And then when that person becomes emotionally detached, emotionally avoidant, then it is said that you are emotionally unavailable, and that's why your relations are not good. So it's either ways you are at fault. So, and no, and these bullies are just waiting for you to get crumbled so that they can enjoy from that. Now I would request if you can talk up more about this part, please.
To be honest, as you had mentioned about a lot of things, First of all, it's important to not shame yourself or not blame yourself or blame anything about such situation. It is just your way to protect yourself from getting hurt. So, does that answer your question? Do you want me to answer more about it?
Actually, I got your point. I just wanted to, put it across that when you say about emotions, when you say about relations, which is nothing but emotional, a relationship can only prosper when you express emotions. And what bullying does to you is make you so guarded that you can't express because you have this insecurity. If I express, if I say something, if I say emotional, then that will be taken as a weakness. So doesn't it looks a very contradictory thing that how to be emotional in a relationship but not be emotional enough to be exploited, so you don't know where to explain, where to not express. You are always in that fear that if I become emotional I'll be bullied. That's it. So
I think it depends on situation to situation as well. And if such things are persisting wherein you're having difficulty to express emotions, it's best to get professional help that will help you or that will actually support you to build that level of way to express. So I think if you need any sort of support in that, you can always contact us at MindTribe, and then we can help and support you to build that confidence.
okay, okay, thanks, thank you, got it, thanks.
Okay. Another impact of bullying is PTSD. That is, as if it happens again and again for bullying targets who are constantly like this, they spend most of their days at school. It is hard to them tell them when the next attack is imminent. So basically, what happens of bullying is that if it happens constantly, your body is at constant fight or flight emotions that you just either wanna just be there and like you never know when you might have that anxiety or panic attack. So what happens with most of the victims is that they get stressed whenever the bullying when the bully is passing or when the group of bullies are passing. So this can lead to permanent state of tension and feeling of helplessness. Make it the next slide, please. So as we have discussed about what bullying is, how it impacts, and who are involved, let's talk about how to cope. And always remember that there's very oh, yes, Navneet?
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask that, for example, if the bullying is happening in the school, right? Like bunch of student is bullying one person. So why is it when that person is trying to raise her voice, like she wanted to speak, like for example, she told her ma'am about this. So why it's portrayed as that I am like the person who is getting bullied? Why is it seen that you are very like overreactive and you are like overreacting like you are attention seeking? Why is it like that? And why like the actions are not taken towards the people who are bullying the person?
Um, I think it is obviously unfortunate, and what happens is that usually, as we have also talked in the past as well, in past few slides, that sometimes they are just overlooked. So some sort of bullying might be subtle. It might be there, but people are not able to identify it as bullying. So what happens is maybe that's why they start dismissing the feeling that the person who's being bullied is not overreacting. They're just sharing their distress. If that answers your
Okay, ma'am.
question.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, so now let's talk about okay, now let's talk about some coping strategies. Although bullying is painful, healthy coping strategies can help individuals to regain their strength and confidence. It is very important how to cope when bullying is affecting your emotional well-being. And there are some coping strategies that can help you to reduce emotional impact. So, next slide, please. Nikita, next slide, please. Yeah. So, first is the relaxation technique. This is a very common grounding technique. If you guys are comfortable, let's do it right now. And once you're done with this activity, just drop that you have done the activity or show an emoji or anything. So, guys, just sit comfortably. You have to do is uh, five things you can hear at the moment. Have you done that, guys? Okay. Four things in the color yellow that you can see around. Okay. Now, three things you can feel. So, if you ask me, I can feel my hand, I can feel the bottle, and I can also feel the pen. Now, if you guys are done, can you give me a thumbs up or okay? Thank you, Kanvi. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, two things that you can smell around. And one thing that you can taste. This is a very common form of relaxation technique, usually used in the case of anxiety. If someone is feeling anxious, this they can do. So it is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then next slide, please. So what you guys can do is improve your self-esteem. So remember to treat yourself the way you want others to treat you. Um, Basically, what you guys can do here is that you guys can give yourself a special treat, or you can show a sense of affection, have content that makes you feel more energized. Giving yourself a treat helps in boosting self command. So, here, what you guys can do is you can probably talk good about yourselves. You guys can go outside, take some break. Sorry, just a second. Now, another form of grounding technique is box breathing. So, let's guys do it together. Now, I just want you guys to sit comfortably. What we're gonna do is at the count of four, we are going to inhale and we're gonna hold for 4 seconds, and then you're going to release. So let's sit comfortably. So at the count of four, let's breathe in. One, two, three, 4. Now let's hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the count of 4, let's release. I'm sorry, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, how are you guys feeling after doing this activity? Can someone just give me a thumbs up or share it in the chat box? Or even you feel good or bad? Thank you, Avni. Next slide is self-acceptance. So, self-acceptance is self-explanatory. It is exactly what the name suggests. So, I would want you guys to understand that it is very important to accept the way we are. True self acceptance is embracing who you are without any qualification, conditions, or exception. So, here you are telling yourself the way you are. There's certain things or physical attributes we can't change about ourselves. The way we look, we can accept the way we are. So, it is that. Next slide, please. Positive self talk. So, positive self talk can improve your outlook on one's life. So, it can help one to have lasting positive health. Sorry, it can help one to have lasting positive health benefits that includes improved well being and a better quality of life. So, you guys can have positive talk as well about yourself in front of the mirror, telling yourself good things about yourself. That is one of the techniques you guys can follow. Next slide, please. Now, another thing is that we can build resilience. So, resilience is actually your ability to cope with and bounce back from the stress and adversity, and hopefully even grow through the experience. It is sometimes referred to as thriving, not just surviving. So it's important to learn to relax, follow the box breathing technique or the grounding technique that we have practiced through self awareness, learning from your mistakes and failure, and believing in one's abilities and taking care of yourself. We can build resilience through that. Next slide, please. Now, behavioral activation. So, it is designed to increase your contact with positively rewarding activities, particularly when you notice something about yourself and you feel anxious or depressed. You should work on an activity. Basically, this will teach you that your behavior can always affect your mood. So, anything that helps you to feel happy, you can just do that through behavioral activation. Sorry, guys. Also, another thing is that you can practice mindfulness. So, mindfulness is an ability to improve your well being. It increases one's capacity for mindfulness to have positive attitudes and something that contributes to satisfied lives. So, being mindful makes one easier to savor the pleasures of life. This occurs and helps become fully when one is engrossed in the activities that they like and creates a greater capacity to deal with adverse situations. Um, You can also join support groups. Sometimes support groups offer you a safe space where you can get information that is practical and constructive and quite helpful. You will always have a benefit of encouragement, and you will learn more about coping with your problems through shared experiences. Hearing others facing similar challenges can also make you feel less alone in your trouble. So, oh, yes, Mayank?
Again, I wanted to add one more thing on this slide where you are saying seek therapy. There's one thing where it is said that most of the people who go to therapy is because of the people who don't go to therapy. So the thing is, when we are talking about you or we being a victim of bullying at one stage of our life, going to therapy for our mental health, it is very obvious or very important, according to me, to address the fact that it is not our fault, as you only said, but when it comes to correcting our mental health, shouldn't it also be important that we at least take this thing in our life that if tomorrow we as an individual see that someone is being unnecessarily cornered out, we have this thing to speak up, at least mention that we are not we can support them, because one who is being bullied or made feel small, all at that point of time is that person needing is some support, so that he knows that the world is not that bad, that people would all are alike, or most importantly, all are so spineless that they would support the shameless bully who is considering strength in belittling someone, and they think that they could be looking very good and strong and calling the person who's quiet as weak. Because unfortunately, when we talk about our mental health, the reason of our seeking support, it is not because of our actions. It is because of somebody's insecure mindset and most of the people's inability to speak up and be in the good light of everybody, that they watch being bullied. Like it's classically, if I say, it's like if you have watched 70s or 80s Bollywood film, there would be one goon who would collect weekly money from people, and there would be one hero who would say that I won't, and all other people would stand there and watch him being beaten up till he faints because he disagrees or takes a stand and against that goon. So it is like that only. So what I feel is, it is not our problem that we had to go, it is because something wrong was inflicted upon us. So I think that acceptance that it was not our fault, it is because people did wrong to us, and to then work on ability to somehow forgive them for what they did, because they are probably so immature that they think that by shouting, by belittling, they are strong, and the one who's quiet is weak would be a also an alternative to make your mind, or get that courage to bounce back in life.
Yeah, you guys, you are absolutely correct, Mayank. Um, it is always about, um, like identifying those aspects. And um, I just want to add about one thing that if you see someone being cornered and if you're ready to help that person, it is quite good that you are there to, provide support. That's why um, one needs to seek therapy, because what happens here is that one becomes more emotionally aware. And here, maybe most of the cases, what happens is a bullying victim might not know that they are being bullied, or they are unable to express themselves. So, what they do is they avoid helping others as well. Like few slides back, we had discussed that there's intense trauma or PTSD that is caused due to bullying. So even when the bully is bullying someone else, not them, they don't have the courage, or they feel that they are. unable to provide the support. So they take a step back and they decide that it's time for me not to intervene. But as we have discussed that it is just a survival instinct. Once that confidence is built, as we have talked about different coping mechanisms through therapy, once it's built, then only it's easier to identify that, yeah, it's important to provide support to other people who are getting bullied. If that answers.
Yeah, I understand. I got your point, and it was helpful. I was listening to that, so thanks.
Next slide, please. Now, I want you guys to sit comfortably. It is another form of activity. And now I would want you guys to sit wherever you are and let's talk about one of the most common activities of coping, that is comfort castle. So, a comfort castle is basically an imaginary space that you create in your mind where you feel calm, protected, or relaxed. So, before we begin with this activity, just a gentle reminder that at any point, if you feel uncomfortable, you can keep your eyes open, soften your gaze, or simply focus on your breathing. So, I would request you guys to sit comfortably in your chair, allow your feet to rest on the floor, and let your hands relax in your lap. Now, take one slow breath in and a slow breath out. Now, if it feels okay, gently close your eyes or lower your gaze. Now, imagine a place where you feel completely safe, calm, and protected. This place can be real or imaginary. It might be indoors or outdoors, and there's no right or wrong, just what feels safe to you. This is your comfort castle, a space where nothing can harm you. Now take a moment to look around your castle. Now notice the colors around you. Now are they light or warm, soft or even bright? Notice the light in the space. Is it sunlight, candlelight, or something else? Let it feel comforting to you. Now listen carefully. Are there any gentle sounds here? Maybe wind, water, bird, or peaceful silence. Now notice the temperature. Is it warm, cool, or neutral? Let your body adjust to what it feels soothing. Reach out and touch something in your comfort castle. Notice the texture. Is it smooth, soft, solid, or grounding? Now take another slow breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine your body feeling heavier, calmer, and more supported. In this place, you are safe, you are protected. Nothing needs to be fixed or changed right now. When you're ready, gently bring back to your awareness, back to your body. Now notice the chair beneath you. Notice your feet on the floor. Take one final breath in and out, and finally open your eyes, bringing the sense of calm back with you. Does anybody want to describe their experience doing that? Anybody wants to share their experience? They can raise their hands or unmute themselves. Yes, Rita, go ahead.
I like the experience, and I feel like whenever I get overwhelmed, I would try this technique for sure.
Thank you so much. Anybody else who wants to add? Anybody else? So, have you guys noticed even a small shift in your body? Maybe a feeling that lets you feel more calmer and settled as well. Um, so, before we conclude and I take up with some questions, we just want to add on this that bullying leaves marks that we don't always see, but it is possible to heal. And if today brought something up for you, I strongly encourage reaching out to a trusted person or a mental health professional. Thank you for your presence and courage and your time today. Does anybody have questions they can ask right now? Yes, Kanvi?
Yes, can I know can you repeat act of behavior thing? Like, I was not able to
Okay.
get the concept.
Okay, so acting out behavior is usually where a person is reacting to bullying. So, in normal terms, you might see someone showing some disruptive bullying, or sorry, disruptive response, or might be feeling more agitated, more frustrated. It is very important to understand that it is their coping mechanism. They are just trying to express themselves. They are utterly distressed. So, what they do is they might um, start bullying someone else, or um, they might show less participation in most of the time in most of the cases that we have seen. So yeah, that is the acting out behavior in general.
Yes, thank you. And I also wanted to know, is nagging considered a form of bullying?
Um, Not really nagging. It depends on situation to situation. Now, nagging could be in different forms as well. Is it happening constantly? If that is affecting you, because in some cases, nagging is just like as um, similar. It's quite similar to complaining. So it depends on situation.
Okay, noted. And I just want to know, can you tell a signal that they're bullying, because obviously we can't control others but we can control ourselves, right? So I just want to know that there are situations, because I have boundary issues, I know that thing, but I still try, but sometimes that person is not able to understand my boundary. So how we can identify that it is bullying and we should not entertain it, and we should entertain it in a healthy way. Like, I prefer silence now because the words triggers me and everything, right? So if you can guide me on that, that would be grateful.
See, as we have discussed in other sites as well, that anything that is happening constantly, if someone is, let's say, talking about your weight, let's say, let's hypothetically think, and it is happening constantly, that it is affecting you, and you're feeling hurt, and others are there and others are laughing. So this can be a signal that someone is bullying you, or if it is constantly affecting your mental peace, or you feel that you don't want to even participate in that group discussion because you're constantly belittled or judged or constantly told that you are this or that. That is another way of identifying that you might be getting bullied. I hope that answers.
Yes, thank you. So, do you think that if we are removing ourselves from that situation because the other person is not understanding, so that is a kind of a healthy coping mechanism? Because now I'm trying to shift it to the silence, because the same reaction can be triggered by various things, and I can take it personally. Even I will have flaws, and the other person will also have flaws in their own ways, right? So like being silent, is a good coping mechanism, or because the other person is not in the situation of understanding? So that was a query of me. So is silence you know a positive coping mechanism? Because I don't want to, obviously silence will do affect me, but I don't want the other mediums to affect me more. I want it to minimize. So is it fine?
To be honest, I would want you to reflect this question. If silence is affecting you as well, and it's not help you feel that if it's not helping you, do you think if it's positive or negative? I think you will know the answer very well to this question.
Yes, perfect. The nervous system will give me the answer. Thank you. And thank you for this session, because like especially the parent and the sibling one, because that is the basic of your environment and we don't know it, and sometimes we do things and but we don't know what is. So thank you for this session. Good day.
Thank you so much, you too. Mayank, do you want to ask me a question?
Yeah, since this session is about to end, so I had just one last thing to say, and this is not only for you, mainly addressing to you, but yeah, it is also for the other people on the in this discussion, and have been really supportive and open to pour in their suggestions also. So my question is that I have been through listening to you and putting my inputs, and there was a point where it was said, and we all also agreed that when it comes to bullying at any place, it is very good and it is very important also that we know how to set boundaries. But the thing is that when I, from my personal experience, had a situation where you were insulted, especially by a set of people, I was insulted and I was kind of made to feel that it is my fault. But when I refused to accept those people, or when I made sure that my boundaries are strong enough to never let those people again, that is when the bullying started. So it was not because of no weak boundaries that people started bullying. It is because of strong boundaries where I refused to accept their apology or take them back, because I'm not a person who really, give people second chances. I don't really, if somebody breaks your trust once, they'll break it again, is what I believe in. So I don't really get to, you don't get to have me again. Basically, I'm that kind of a person. So when that happened, then bullying started because they couldn't have me back. So bullying was because of strong boundaries that it came in my life. And once we have set your strong boundaries and people are still trying to, just for the sake of attention, not to belittle you, but to make you feel that, we exist, talk to us, we just for your attention start bullying you. And then to such an extent that they even start playing women card, victim card, whatever it takes just to belittle your name. Then I want to know what to do in that situation, because I have my boundaries very straight, very clear. I know my priorities. I know when that I don't entertain people second time. So what should be a way out for me? If you can just guide me on this situation, please, because I know my boundaries are not weak. Yeah.
To be fair, I think the best is that it's preferable to have a support, like maybe it's best to look out for a mental health practitioner You can choose MindTribe as well. Here, the thing is that it is obviously situational, and as you have mentioned as well, that boundaries were there, and a lot of things were happening, and you just like you created that space, safe space for yourself, and then people started bullying. This is solely, I would suggest to like look for professional help in a way because it will help you to, slowly discover, as we had talked about as well earlier, that guidance can help you to have that goal around you, that what you need to do when such situation happens, if that works.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thank you for that.
Yes, Nishija.
Hi, ma'am. I actually wanted to ask one thing. It has been years, like I think 4, 5 years back when these all things happened to me. So, but what I mean, even after so many years, these incidents keep triggering me in some way. So, I was wondering if, like, I know those grounding techniques and all, but I just wanted to know if in any way will these recurring events in my mind, will these ever stop, or like I mean it's like time will heal or something like that, because I have been taking therapy as well, and I don't know, it's still still keeps coming up all the time.
Um, to be fair, obviously you cannot just deal with emotions overnight. We all are humans and we all experience situations differently, and it has happened long time back and it can still have impact, and it will take time, obviously, and you're doing your best and you're also taking therapy, so it's a slow and gradual process. Just trust yourself, and you are doing your best, to be honest, and it is quite hard.
Also, like one more thing is I mean is the thing is I kind of keep on thinking back to that time, like due to all of all of those things, I flunked my exams, like main exams, and like my life trajectory kind of changed totally, and I had this whole lot of mental health issues and all. So I am like unable to forgive them for whatever they have done, and no matter what kind of therapy, like whatever I take or do with myself, and positive self talk and all, it's like it's good when, like, as long as these people or these incidents are out of my sight or out of my mind, the moment I see something relating to that, it's like still very triggering for me.
um, my only question is that have you discussed this with your therapist?
Yeah, I have. And I mean, I'm taking like somatic therapy. So they just, like, they let me, like, feel my body and like where the pains are and etc. etc.
If you can look like try some other form of therapy, is it like, I mean, is this, as I said, like it is quite subjective as well, and it depends on who your therapist is. If it is somatic therapy, just like reflect on this question: is this helping you? If not, then maybe it might be a sign to change therapists, because therapists are also human beings. They can, like not one shoe fits all. It depends on situation to situation. So just reflect on this question, that is this therapy working for you? If it is, then continue. If you think that at any point of time you want to change therapist, it's completely fine. Because, yeah,
Okay, okay, thank you.
anyone else? Thank you so much for joining, guys. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.